Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
This is the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell.
Bobby, here we are, the next Making Waves VO podcast.
And it's presented by FullCompass.com. They know VO.
And we have a great guest today, documentary and promo voice actor Dan Nachtrab. And Bobby, you and Dan, you go way back, don't you?
We do. And I didn't even realize it. He was a student of mine at I think it was back then called the Ohio Center for Broadcasting.
Oh, wow.
Long time ago. And he told me maybe like 10 years after that, he goes, I met him at an event and he just was like, did you know you were my teacher?
I wonder if Dan was hot for teacher. Maybe we'll have to ask him that.
Too funny.
Oh, that's great. But Dan Nachtrab is coming up on the Making Waves VO podcast. Going to be so much fun. He's one of the voices you hear all the time on National Geographic, both narrating and doing promos. So we're excited to have him on. Bobby, what have you been up to lately? Been doing some promo work? Been doing any narration, political?
I did do a lot of political. Not more than I thought, because I thought it's an off year.
Mm-hmm.
But surprisingly, from my
The conference you did?
no, because the guys who get you the work. I need some work.
The PAC people?
Yes, the PAC people. They sent a lot in. So if it's like this year, I can't wait for 2024.
Yeah, because 2024 should be a crazy election year and should mean a lot of work for everybody that does political stuff. And I'm trying to get some of that pie, Bobby. You've got a lot of that pie. I'm trying to get some of it.
And you can do it. I can totally hear you doing. You got your demo, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I just need to market it, right? Is that part of it? Marketing in this business?
A little bit.
Isn't that funny how we talk about this? And, it goes back to, I get asked all the time, and I know you do too, how do you get into VO? I've got another call. I've got to set up a call with somebody that's exploring it. He's a kid. He's like 20 years old and wants to get into doing this. But I'm happy to talk to him, especially because he is a client of mine's son.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So they reached out a
through.
while back out. They reached out and like, hey, my son is wanting to do this. Do you have any work for him? I'm like, I don't have any work, but I will, talk to him about getting into the business. Oh, look at there. It's Dan. Dan Nachtrab is about to enter the room. We are going. Should we admit him?
Yeah, let's.
Okay.
It's kind of a big deal.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's a documentary narrator, promo voice, and all-around good guy in the voiceover business, the multi-talented Dan Nachtrab. Woohoo!
We're not
Dan, so good to see you. Thanks for being on the Making Waves VO podcast. Now, you, like Bobby and I, were in radio. Is that correct?
Yeah, this story actually goes back to Bobby.
Yeah, and we want to hear that. So tell us how you transitioned from radio to voiceover, because I kind of know, but I want to hear your side of it, please.
It's truly the origin story.
I love it.
I was doing the morning announcements for high school bands playing in dances, and I was doing an impersonation of a cheesy, pukey DJ or whatever, and the secretary turns to me and she goes, "You sound just like Shadow Stevens. You should be on the radio."
Oh my gosh.
Shadow Stevens.
Yeah, and so that ended up me applying and getting into one of the local broadcasting schools, and lo and behold, one of the teachers is...
What?
Was it called Ohio Center for Broadcasting, or was it Connecticut School of Broadcasting?
It was the Connecticut school way
Connecticut,
back when. Yeah. So this is 89. So, and then that gave me enough info to get into trouble, and I got hired on part-time at WTUE in Dayton, Ohio. So we were a top 50 market, and it went from there. So,
what year were you at TUE?
I was part-time till 93, went full-time in 93, did evenings until 99.
Okay.
And then I popped over to the sister station, WMMX Mix 107.7 for a year, and then went to an even longer story, ended up in Oregon for about 5 months, and then came back to Dayton, started working at Cox Broadcasting there, doing talk radio on WHIO, and then worked my way up to programming, K99, and The Point, and the classic rock station, and all that kind of stuff, and then left all of that in 2005.
Wow.
So
I worked at TUE for a year, I think. So I kind of
it's a great radio station back then.
It was.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The heyday 80s and 90s. Yeah. It was an amazing radio station at that time. And I was so happy to be a part of it. And I'm still friends with everybody who was there.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I could go on and on. Sorry. I'm going off to the side here.
It's okay though. So Dan, when you first started learning about, anything related to using your voice, that was doing the announcements at school, and then getting into the broadcasting school with Bobby.
Yeah, that was basically it. And the seeds of voiceover started at that little broadcasting school. They had one of those one-night teacher events where somebody came in to spotlight a side career that could be possible. And this guy who was supposed to be a local legend in the Ohio voiceover world, and heard me do a couple of reads and pulled me aside. He goes, "Kid, let me tell you something." And so he invited me and another student along back to his place with his wife and everything, and we all sat and talked voiceover for the night, had a beer, and so I kept that in the back of my head. And
Who
then
was
when
that?
radio, oh God, I have no idea.
Okay.
No idea. He may no longer be with us. That's yeah. So he was definitely in his 60s back then.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. Yeah, and so it all germinated there. And then when I got into radio, I found the love of production is where I truly wanted to be. I wanted to be in the multi-track recording studios and producing, imaging, all of that stuff. And that's where I found my groove.
Hang around. We'll be back shortly.
Well, hello there. I'm AJ McKay, voice actor, demo producer, and audio engineer. And you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with my good friends, love these guys to death, Kevin Kilcarney and Bobby Maswell. What's that? Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Whatever.
Bobby, FullCompass.com is featuring a legendary microphone that has been improved. It is the Shure SM7DB. Now, it takes the legendary performance of the SM7B mic and improves it. How, you ask? By adding a built-in active preamp that removes the need for any additional hardware to make the most of the mic's capabilities.
It also provides a flat, wide-range frequency response for clean, natural reproduction of music and speech.
And it is so warm. This mic delivers warm, smooth audio for vocal and studio applications.
And it also has this convenient preamp bypass switch that allows the user to revert to their original SM7B performance.
Pop, 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 pop. We hate the pops, Bobby.
Ugh.
It has a built-in pop filter that eliminates the need for add-on protection against breath sounds.
And if that wasn't enough, it also features the internal air suspension shock isolation, and that eliminates that mechanical noise transmission you can get sometimes.
You can check it out right now at fullcompass.com. And Bobby, also, would you indulge me a second? Would you log on to fullcompass.com?
Okay.
Now, let's go. You see towards the top and just a little bit towards the left, it says Deals. Let's click that Deals tab together.
Ooh, deals.
Now, we're going to get specific, Bobby. Let's look at Search Deals. Let's go to Search Deals and enter the word microphone.
Gotcha.
Let's search microphones, and there's going to be a ton of accessories right there that you can get. But if you scroll in, I did the search, you can filter it, and so I went low to high on the prices. A few pages in, you will see a legendary microphone on sale, the AKG C214, on sale for 50% off.
Whoa.
It's normally a $600 microphone. This is an amazing microphone. It's on sale right now for $299 at fullcompass.com.
And if you don't know much about microphones, I don't, Kev does, but you're not sure a good mic for you, that's why they have these technicians that know about not only microphones, but any kind of audio equipment. And it's their support team. Call them at 800-356-5844 or just go to fullcompass.com for all the info.
They know VO.
And now back to Making Waves.
We're talking with documentary voice, promo voice, Dan Nachtrab. And Dan, if you're cool with it, coming up in just a little bit, we're going to get you to do a cold read challenge. Before we get to that, I would love to play a little something. Another feature we do here on the Making Waves VO podcast is something called Identify the Audio. And I'm going to play something, Dan, and I am going to see if you can, in fact, identify the audio. Okay?
Is it mine?
Well, you're going to find out in just seconds, okay? All right.
All new LEGO brand Toy Story sets. The evil Emperor Zurg has stolen Buzz Lightyear's spaceship. Time for Buzz and Woody to go into action.
Did you get that?
Yes, I did.
So was that still in high school? No, I know it wasn't.
You sound really young.
Yeah, that's the blessings of being a baritone. You can go up and down. And
Tell us what that piece was.
That was Lego Toy Story. It was probably one of my first big national commercials, I think. And it exploded on YouTube because of Lego. Yeah. It wasn't me. But that video you pulled that from is, I think, 1.5 million, 2 million views now, something like that, maybe more. So
very cool. Now, tell us about the world of documentary. And congratulations on your series getting picked up for a second season. By the way, you want to tell us about that a little bit?
It was Contraband Seized by the Border. Landed that back in April. Recorded the first season in May. And then the show became a sleeper hit over the summer, and so much so that they've blown up their entire Monday night lineup, and it's now all Contraband Seized at the Border, starting at like 5 o'clock till midnight almost, at least 3 to 4 hours every Monday night. But it was such a fun show because of when the producers got on with me to direct the first session, they weren't really sure how they were going to present me in the tone that we were going to use. So I literally recorded the first episode 3 different ways.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And we decided on this. He's like a gritty insider in that world. But he just hangs in the background. So he performs the part of narrator, of just being the invisible guy that leads the story along. But he sounds like somebody who's worked in the world. So he isn't just laying out the information in a factual manner. He's part of it. And it's kind of resonated every time the show airs and stuff. I get hits from around the country of people going, "Who is this guy?" And I'm probably going to have to create a fake website, pretending I'm part of the CIA or something. Who knows? So,
well, they give you a credit though, right?
Yeah. That's how they find me. And then they just look me up and they go, "Oh, he's just a voice actor."
He's not a real agent, or
he's not a real guy in there.
Contraband agent. So what is, like, you're well versed in the series and you know it, I'm sure, quite a bit. Like, what's some of the craziest stuff you've seen seized?
Oh my gosh, I don't know if I could tell this story.
Yeah, you don't have to.
But it's a funny story. My cousin wrote me. He goes, "Hey, Dan, I'm just doing some office work at home here, listening to your new TV show." And, he just texted me that. 10 minutes later, I get a text. "My daughter just walked in, as you said, and she hid the meth in her vagina." So.
Yeah. That's what Making Waves is all about right there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, my goodness. Now, let's go back to Ohio. We were talking about beer and everything. And Bobby, you know the brewery that he's talking about?
Rheingeist. I was just at Rheingeist like a month ago for it was a marketing meetup for the Bengals, the Reds, Cyclones, and the soccer team. And they were just it was all the marketing directors. And I had never been to that Rheingeist and was pretty impressed by it.
Yeah, the downtown location is amazing.
You want to tell us about your involvement with Rheingeist?
Well, yeah. So basically, my brother and I got into craft beer when we were young, we started to get along in our 20s and found that craft beer was a way to do that. And so we would always try to find the new, latest and greatest and share it with each other. And it was a wonderful conversation between the two of us. And we bonded over it. And then he got into commercial real estate. So look up Chris Nachtrab if you're in the Cincinnati area for all your commercial real estate needs.
Plug.
And these two guys came in and they were looking to open a brand new brewery back in 2013, 2012, 2013, that area. And Chris knew the exact building to go to. It was the old Christian Moorline brewing house in downtown Cincinnati over the Rhine. And it's such an amazing building. It was built in the late 1800s, early 1900s, back when there was no electricity. So it's this giant warehouse where the entire roof is skylights. And so this opens the opportunity for kind of daytime fun to have, and not only just brewing facility, but they open it up with giant picnic tables and cornhole and ping pong and taps all around the place and event halls and all this kind of stuff. And it's an amazing building, and they knew it at first sight. And that's, so Chris got in on the real estate deal on that. And they find out he was a beer guy, and they go, do you want in? And he goes, let me call my brother. And that's how we got in. And so we became shareholders. We're minority stakeholders. I have no say in the business whatsoever. That's pretty much to smarter brains. I just stay out of it and enjoy the benefits and get to promote. They're now I think it's the 23rd largest American brewing company now.
Yeah, their product's really, really good, Kev. You got to try it.
Yeah, it's
and
a
what's
solid
cool
product.
about that is that you hit that over the Rhine area at the perfect time. It's all gentrified now, and FC Cincinnati is a couple blocks over. So, what great timing and location on your part.
Yeah, the people that do run Rhine Guys know what they're doing, and their marketing side is right on target, and they became part of the community. And that was one of the great things about the hall, is that it's big enough to host large events. And so when they make it part of the community, right there on the Max line too, do they call it the Max in Cincinnati, the train?
Oh, I don't remember that. Sorry.
No, anyway, they call it here. They call it that here in Portland. Oh. So anyway, drops you right off at the front doorstep on your way to the stadium. So
Any voiceover opportunities coming from the beer company?
no.
Oh, angry there.
It's funny as you say that. Just a couple of weeks ago, I don't even think they know what I did for a living. And I was talking to the CEO in an email exchange, and I just offered up my services. So,
Oh, very cool.
This is Heather Bell, voice actor, and I can tell you've made an awesome choice listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell.
So I was looking at some of your things you've done on your website. I mean, you do things from Animal Planet, NBC, Investigation Discovery. What's your favorite genre of narration? I mean, that's kind of all over the place there.
The narration is what my coach Dave Walsh called my poetry, and it was where I've just found my balance and the ability to storytell. If you haven't picked up a lot, I like to tell stories. But my friends just say I talk a lot, and God forbid if I get 3 beers in me. But narration, when I discovered narration, it was right around 2010, 2011 when I first started working with Dave as a coach, and I fell in love with it. I had the big influences at the time, Lee F. Schreiber and Peter Coyote, Eric Thompson was a big influence, Eric Myers, guys like that. And the ability to go in and tell the whole story rather than just, I was focusing on the time and promo and trailer. Those are just like headlines in narration. Whereas with this, you get the whole kit and caboodle. And I just fell in love with the format of it, and then being able to break it down into several different subgenres, and have the ability to easily fall into those different styles of documentary narration. Was just, it's a delight. I still study at it. I still watch and listen to everybody I can to see if I can get better, pick up a new style, and go from there. It's funny. It's like Contraband was inspired by a guy, and he did a series on National Geographic around 2009, somewhere in there, but it was a prison show. And he was so subtle and in the background, and it was such a tiny, tiny little voice, and it was so unintrusive, and it was so fresh sounding to me that I pocketed that. And then when the audition came up for Contraband, I was like, that's that kind of show, and that's how I did the audition, and that's how I landed it. So if anybody's looking to get into documentary narration, obviously studying what all the current and past formats of narration is important, because you learn those, you pocket those, and when you see something that, just like I said, fits that mold, that's where you want to hit your auditions. So, but obviously in your voice and not theirs.
Yeah.
Was it Thurston Moore from Sonic Youth?
Could be, yeah.
I'll have to look that up, but it seems like I recall, because I'm a big fan of narration, and whenever I hear somebody that I don't know who it is, I look them up, and it seemed that stands out because I remember going, well, this guy's a musician, and it was like, at first it irked me because it's
hey, stay in your lane, buddy.
Yeah. I know.
Exactly.
You son of a, but it was it was perfect, and I'm pretty sure it's what you're talking about.
Wow.
Hang on a second. That's gonna drive me nuts. Thurston Moore, Sonic Youth. That is him. Yep, Hard Time on Nat Geo. Let's check it out really quick.
But when it comes to the programs, many are voluntary. Participation comes down to a choice. Choice is at the heart of how you do your time.
Hang around. We'll be back shortly.
Hey there, it's J. Michael Collins, and you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Now, back to my lobster.
As a voice actor, you want to focus on what's important, right? Like pulling off the perfect read. You don't want to stress about tech stuff. That's why Full Compass is in your corner. With 50 years experience in pro audio, Full Compass has everything we voice actors need. Mics, headphones, monitors, mixers, interfaces, DAWs, all the goodies. And their certified product experts help with everything they sell. Plus, you can get free same-day shipping, flexible financing, and a low price guarantee. See it all at fullcompass.com. Fullcompass.com. They know VO.
Now back to the podcast.
Dan, if you don't mind, for those that have, I've dipped my toe in the documentary world, but for those that don't know, I'm sure they would love to hear what that slice of life is like. Can you tell us what a typical, for Nat Geo, Animal Planet, whatever, whoever it might be, what a typical session may be like? You get the script. When do you get that? A few days ahead of time, the day of? Talk us through that if you would.
Most times you get the script and possibly a screener the day before. So you get the whole script. And I just switched to digital. So, but I used to be all paper, and so I would go through the script and mark it up. And now I have enough skill set and confidence in myself that I really don't need to mark it up anymore. But I would go through that process to make sure that I knew how everything flowed before I got into session. And then I would, we would get into session, and I would try to make things as efficient as possible for the directors. So most times we already know the tone that we're doing the show with, because we've either previously worked together or we've seen the screener, that kind of thing, and it's all laid out ahead of time. So you just get in and you just start working. You have a few laughs along the way. There's always one or two sentences in there that are very difficult to say, and you will flub that again and again, snowball, go out of control, reset with a joke, and then begin again and get through it. But that's pretty much the session. An hour-long show which is about 43 minutes of video. Usually takes me about an hour to complete now. When I first started, it was about a 2.5-hour session to get all of that done. So, making their life easy is goal number one.
Yeah.
So knowing how to do your job, and knowing how to make each session flow in context to the show is probably the most important part. Now, that's how it normally runs. Sometimes I do get the script 5 minutes before the show.
Oh, no.
And that's when you utilize the time in between to your best advantage by reading ahead when you have a break. So they're either listening to something back, putting it to picture, and you're taking advantage of those moments and reading the next page quickly, and then marking it up if you're on paper, so that it'll flow easier rather than just cold reading everything.
Well, speaking of cold reads, we're going to give you, we're going to let Bobby ask one more question, but then after that, Dan, if you're cool, we're going to send you a cold read challenge, and I will set you up on that and tell you exactly what we need from you.
I was wondering, you had mentioned earlier that the benefit of being a baritone. Do you still do younger male voices?
Yeah.
Like, what's some stuff you've worked on?
I've been the voice of Discovery Family since its birth for 9 years now. So
next on Discovery Family, it's an all-new adventure.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I'd say 18 years old.
Yeah.
That's
so
pretty
it's
cool.
Just every day's different.
Yeah.
That's what makes our world so great.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, so the cold read challenge, did you get a chance to listen to a couple of samples that I sent you a couple of weeks ago?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you probably get the vibe. I just sent over an email to you. And
Got it.
the way this works is if you could pull up the script and then just read, everything at the top, including the direction, and dive in. That's kind of how it typically goes. So we sent you a narration piece, and we would love for you to be able to do it for us. And just whenever you're comfortable and ready, do your thing.
Cold Read Challenge.
Dan Nachtrab, Cold Read Challenge, documentary narration. Direction, mysterious, dark, suspenseful. And now we will take a quick drink, and we will begin.
Is it beer?
Dog goes woof. Cat goes meow. Bird goes tweet. And mouse goes squeak. Cow goes moo. Frog goes croak. And the elephant goes toot. Ducks say quack. And fish go blub. And the seal goes oh, oh, oh. Now there's one sound that no one knows. What does the fox say? Ring ding ding, diggery ding ding ding. Gring ding ding ding, digger digger ding ding. Ding ding diggery ding. What the fox say?
Very good, man. That was perfect. Do you remember that song?
Yes. Kinda.
Oh, thank goodness. Oh my gosh. It was challenging.
It was mysterious.
Yeah. Dude, that was perfect. That was so good. We don't even have to do option B,
Right.
Unless you wanted to, just for fun. But that was perfect, man.
I think you should try B. I think it's hilarious.
All right. Why not? Okay, here we go. Oh, I recognize this already. Here we go.
No, looking ahead.
Dream if you can. A courtyard. An ocean of violets in bloom. Animals strike curious poses. They feel the heat. The heat between me and you. How can you just leave me standing, alone in a world that's so cold? Maybe I'm just too demanding. Maybe I'm just like my father, too bold. Maybe you're just like my mother. She's never satisfied. Why do we scream at each other? This is what it sounds like when doves cry.
Perfect, man.
You know what it reminded me of? The Moody Blues. At the end, he'd go,
Oh, yeah.
The gathering gloom. Oh, man. Dan, thanks for doing that. Thanks for playing along, man. Those are just perfect. We've got options.
Yay!
But, Dan, before we wrap up here, if you could, for those that are, because a lot of our listeners are those that are just getting into voiceover and they want to hear what it's like, for people that are successful, what they went through. And can you think of a tip or two or anything along the way that has resounded with you about perfecting your craft and any way to expedite the process? Probably not, but what are your thoughts?
My career is based off of one comment that I heard Tony Robbins say in a speech back around 2002, and that was a speech on modeling. And to become successful, the fastest route is to just simply copy yourself or model yourself after someone who is already successful. So when I began coaching in 2006, taking lessons, I looked to the people's careers that I wanted to mimic and found out who they studied with, and then began that journey that way, and it expedited it pretty fast. Within 5 years, I was doing national promo, trailer, things like that. So that's how I did that. I was traveling to New York and LA to do live workshops. At the time, I was living in Dayton, Ohio. So, I mean, it was not the hub of voiceover whatsoever. And so I would fly to New York and LA for weekend workshops 3, 4, 5 times a year. I invested in it. I easily put in a college education's worth of education into it. And it paid off. So, that's how to do it. Study with the greats.
I'm curious. You said you coached with Dave Walsh a lot. Did he ever make you cry with his True Tell method? He's a good friend of Kevin and I.
Oh, yeah. Dave has come close to making me cry in the past. So, Dave, knock it off. I'm getting as truthful as I can.
It's funny you say that because last February, I was going through this questioning thing of sticking with trailer. And I hadn't been booking a lot. I'm on kind of the C team in the trailer world. And so we went in for a tune-up, and he went in and he basically said, you're not emotionally connected. You're giving me the sound of a trailer, but you're not emotionally invested. And so then he had me go deep inside and find out what was troubling me at the moment and making myself vulnerable. And then I read, and it sounded great. It was amazing. And then the very next audition I landed because I did that, and I did the radio campaign for the new Matt Damon, Ben Affleck movie Air.
Wow.
So it worked. So
that's crazy.
I cried right there, and he had me doing trailer crying.
When you saw you booked the gig, right?
Yeah,
Dave's legend lives on.
Yeah, that's the secret to voiceover. It's just being vulnerable, allowing yourself to be vulnerable and open.
It's funny because I've trained a lot with Dave this past year, and one of the things he said to me is, Kevin, why are you so afraid to be vulnerable? And I'm like, I don't know, man. It's a sticking point with me though, and we're still trying to work through it. So
yeah. I mean, if you want to go deep, we can go deep.
Wow. This is good stuff though, Dan. Man, thanks so much for your time. Just been a pleasure talking to you. And Bobby, did you have anything else?
No. You can really tell he's a storyteller. Just this whole thing, like you said, everything is a story, and we can see why you've done so well in this field.
Oh, well, thank you. So, and you started it all.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Oh, that's funny. That's good times. Well, Dan, thanks so much for your time. And we're going to let you go. And till next time, we'll talk to you again, okay?
Thanks so much.
Okay. Take care.
I'm so glad to have talked to him, Bobby. What a cool guy. We've never spoken before. We've exchanged messages on Facebook before, and we've exchanged emails and such. But he just seems like such a cool, nice guy.
And he's so humble. That's what I love about him. I mean, he's a superstar in this biz, and he doesn't act like it.
We've got a great episode coming up next, Bobby.
I can't believe we're approaching the end of the year. I mean, it's crazy, but a year ago we did our 2023 goals. So I think we should do it again and see how far we've come and what we plan for the future.
Yeah, and if we discuss on that episode, Bobby, what we accomplished in 2023, I might get an incomplete eye from my teacher.
I
don't know about you, but...
me too. I think the last quarter of 2023 has been pretty bleak for me, so I'm right there with you, Kev.
Well, I know you've been busy like crazy. I've been busy like crazy, but we're staying busy with work. And even if we didn't accomplish our goals, we set them, and we're going to set some new ones and see if we can accomplish those.
All right. We'll be talking about that in the next episode
of the Making Waves VO podcast presented by FullCompass.com. They know VO. We will see you on the next one, Bobby.
See ya.
The Making Waves VO podcast is produced by K2 Media Productions with hosts Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Sound design and editing by Jason Traver. Production assistance by Lacey Deline. Publicity and social media by Shannon Scott and Silas Phillips. Be sure to subscribe to the Making Waves VO podcast on your favorite platform. For all episodes, merchandise, gear, and more, visit MakingWavesVO.com. Until next time, I'm AJ McKay. Keep making waves.